Hi, hello children. How are you all? Welcome back to my class. Today in this class we are going to study about your new lesson of science, that is soil. So children, you might have noticed how tiny dust particles enter your eyes and close when all of a sudden a strong wind starts to blow while you are playing outdoors, right? Or even in your home you may have observed a thin layer of tiny dust particles on the surface of your furniture, doors and windows. So now where does all this dust come from? Yes, it comes from the soil. So, in this lesson, we are going to study about what is soil profile and types of soil. Okay, so let's see what is a soil. Soil is one of the most important natural resources. So, the soil it is a one of the important natural resources. What do you mean by natural resources? The materials or substances occurring in nature which can be exploited for economic gain, right? So it is called natural resources. The soil is the upper layer of earth in which plants grow. It consisting of a mixture of organic remains, clay and rock particles. So soil it is a uppermost layer of the earth in which the plant grows, right? So and this layer it consists a mixture of organic remains in the sense a decomposition or the decaying of plants and animals, and it consists a clay and a small rock particles. So this is called the soil. The next point is soil teeming with life. So teeming in the sense filled with especially living things, right? So soil it provide a home for many living organisms, right? So now let's move to the next topic. Our next topic is importance of soil. So the soil provides anchorage to the plants and supplies water and nutrients. So this soil it supports the plants and supplies water and nutrients to the plant that require for the growth of a plant, right? So this soil it provides support and supplies water and nutrients for the plant. The next point is it is a home for many organisms. So the soil it provide home for many organisms such as animals, birds, plants, even for human beings also, right? So it is the home for many organisms. The next point is soil is essential for agriculture. So this soil it is very important for agriculture purpose. So different types of soil supports different kinds of crops. The next point is agriculture provides food, clothing and shelter for all. So this agriculture, so without agriculture food, shelter and clothing are not possible. So this agriculture it provides food, clothing and shelter for all. Okay, so let's move to the another topic, that is soil profile. What do you mean by soil profile? A vertical section through different layers of the soil is called the soil profile. So a vertical section of different layers, okay, of a soil it is called the soil profile. Now let's do one activity to before knowing the what are the different layers of a soil. Okay, first what you have to do, you have to take a little soil. Now take a glass tumbler, then 3/4 filled with water, okay, and then add a handful of soil into this tumbler. Then stir it well with a stick to dissolve the soil. Now what you have to do, now just let it stand undisturbed for some time. Now just you have to leave the glass without disturbing it for some time. Okay, now after some times, what are the things you will observe in this glass? Yes, you may observe that layers of particles of different sizes in the glass tumbler. You will find that gravels, you can see these are called here, you will find that the gravels it will settle down into the tumbler, okay, because it is very heavy. Gravels in the sense it is a small fragments of a rock. Okay, so the heavy particles, it will settle down in the glass tumbler, and the next layer you will find the sand layer because it is lighter than this gravel. Next we'll find the clay, next we'll find the water, next the last layer you'll find the humus. Now what is this humus? The humus is rotting dead matter in the soil is called humus. Humus means the rotting dead matter. It is the decaying or decomposition of plants and animals in the soil is called the humus. Here you will find the some materials that is floating on the water, that is nothing but the humus. Understood? Okay. Now let's move to the next concept, weathering. What is weathering? Now the question may arise in your mind that you already know what is the meaning of soil, right? So how this soil is formed? Yes, how this soil is formed? So the soil is formed by the process of weathering. The soil is formed by the process of weathering. So now what is this weathering? Soil is formed by breaking down of rocks by the action of wind, water and climate. So this process is called weathering. So the soil is formed by the breaking down of rocks by the action of wind, then water in the form of rain, and temperature and some other climatic condition. So the rocks will get break. So this process is called the weathering, and this is process, the formation of the soil, it will not happen within 2 or 3 days. It takes a long time. Okay, the formation of soil, it takes a long time to form. Okay, so the next point is, what is parent rock? The nature of any soil depends upon the rocks from which it has been formed and type of vegetation that grows in it. Parent rock means the nature of any soil depends upon the rocks, right? So here, as we have studied, that the breaking down of rocks by the action of wind, water and climatic conditions. So this breaking down of rock, this rock, yes, so that rock is called that parent rock. And the nature of any soil, okay, so the nature of any soil, that depends on this parent rock, okay, from which it has been formed. And even the type of vegetation, means the growing of the plant, is also based on this nature of the soil. Okay, the next point is horizons. What is this horizons? Each layer of soil differs in feel, color, depth and chemical composition. These layers are referred to as horizons. So horizons means each layer of soil, it is different in the texture, it is different in the color, and even the depth and present and the chemical composition, the chemicals present in it, and these layers are called horizons. Basically we are having 4 horizons. The first is A horizon, B horizon, C horizon and the bedrock. Okay, and we usually see the top surface of the soil, not the layers below it, right? So if we look at the sides of the recently dug ditch, okay, so we can see the inner layers of the soil, and even the soil profile can also be seen while digging a well or laying the foundation of a building. Then also you can see this soil profile, means the layer of the soil, the layers, the soil layers and the soil profile, they both are the one and same thing. Okay, so next is, now let's study about the horizons in details. So children, here is a one picture of a soil profile or the layers of a soil. Here you can see this upper layer, it is called the A horizon, and the below this one is called the B horizon, and this layer is called the C horizon, and the last layer is called the bedrock. Now let's study about one by one. The first one is A horizon. The uppermost horizon is generally dark in color as it is rich in humus and minerals. So this A horizon, it is the uppermost horizon and it is dark in color because it is rich in humus. It is rich in humus. What is the meaning of humus? the rotting dead matter in the soil is called the humus, right? So this layer, it is rich in humus and as well as with minerals, and the humus makes the soil fertile. So the presence of this humus, the soil become fertile and it provides nutrients for the growth of a plant, right? And the next point is this layer is generally soft, porous and can retain more water. So this layer, it is very soft, very porous. Porous in the sense it is having many gaps, it is having a pores, so that and so that it can hold a more water. Okay, so it retains a more water, and it is called the topsoil. So the A horizon is also called the topsoil. This provides shelter for many living organisms such as worms, rodents and beetle. So as we know that the soil means, especially this A horizon soil, it provides shelter for many living organisms as well as insects such as worms, rodents, beetles, etc. Okay, so this is about the A horizon. Now let's move to the B horizon. So here you can see this part, it is the B horizon. Yes, so this is the B horizon. So first point is this layer has a lesser amount of humus but more of minerals. So this B horizon, it consists lesser amount of humus as compared to the A horizon, and it consists more of minerals. Okay, next this layer is generally harder and more compact. So this layer, it is harder in texture and it is more compact in the sense here the particles, they arrange very closely. Okay, and it is called the B horizon, or it is also called the middle layer. Okay, so this is about the B horizon. Now let's move to the C horizon. So here you can see, so this layer is called the C horizon. Okay, so this C horizon, it is the third layer. Yes, this is first, this A horizon is first, B horizon is second, and third is a C horizon. So this C horizon is a third layer, and this C horizon, it is made up of a small lumps in the nothing but the group or set of a small rocks with a cracks. Okay, so this is about the C horizon. Now let's move to the next horizon, that is bedrock. Okay, this bedrock, the last layer of the soil is called the bedrock, which is hard and which is difficult to dig. And here this layer you can see, so here you can see this bedrock, it is the last layer of soil and it is called the bedrock. Okay, it is present just below the sea horizon, right? And this layer, it is very hard, that's why it is difficult to dig, it is difficult to drill. Okay, so this is about the soil profile. Now children, let's move to the another topic, that is types of soil. Okay, so the soil is classified on the basis of the proportion of particles of various sizes. The soil is classified on the basis of proportion. Proportion is nothing but the quantity of particles present. Okay, and the size of the particles and the quantity of the particles. So based on these two things, the soil is classified into three types. The first one is a sandy soil, loamy soil, and third one is a clay soil. Okay, now let's study about these three soils one by one. So the first is sandy soil. So if soil contains greater proportion of big particles, it is called sandy soil. So if the soil, it consists a greater proportion, means greater quantity of big particles. Okay, here the size of these particles are quite large. So this is called the sandy soil. The next point is particles in sandy soil cannot fit close together, so there are a large space between them. So here the particles of the sandy soil, it cannot fit close together, it is not close together, so there are a large space between these particles. Okay, see here, suppose this is a sand particle, so here they are having a many space in between it, right? So it cannot fit close together. The next point is these spaces are filled with air, so the air, so this empty spaces between the sandy soil particles, it is filled with the air, that's why the sand is well aerated. Okay, next is water can drain quickly through the spaces between the sand particles. So the water can drain in the sense they can the water can flow out very quickly through the space between the sand particles. So here there are a lot of space between the sand particles, so when you pour the water over the sand, so that water can get quickly drain, it will get quickly flow out. Okay, it cannot hold the water, right? So the next thing is sandy soil tend to be light, well aerated and rather dry. So this sandy soil, it tend to be very light because it cannot hold the water, right? That's why it is very light in weight and well aerated because the presence of the large spaces between the particles, so it is well aerated and it is dry. Okay, so this is the sandy soil. Okay, now here you can see this is the sandy soil, you might have seen the sandy soil. Okay, next one is clay soil. If the proportion of fine particle is relatively higher, then it is called clay soil. If the proportion in the sense quantity of a fine in the sense very small particles, very thin particles, if it is high, then it is called the clay soil. Whereas in the case of sand, we have seen that here the particles, is the proportion of the particles, it is greater proportion of big particle, it consists of big particles, whereas the clay soil, it consists of very fine particles, right? Next is clay particles being much smaller, packed tightly together, leaving little space for air. Here the clay particles, they are very fine and they are very small. Okay, they are very small and they pack very tightly here like this. They, suppose this is a small clay particles, so clay particles, it is very small and they pack tightly together, and here when they tightly packed, so it do not leave much space, so it leaves little space for air. The next point is water can be held in the tiny gaps between the particles of clay. So here the water can be held, here the water in the clay soil, a water can be held in the very little space between these clay soil. Okay, whereas in the case of sandy soil, the water can drain very quickly, it cannot hold the water because the presence of the more space between the sand particles, whereas here it is totally opposite, it can be held a water because of presence of a little or tiny gaps between the particles. Okay, the next point is clay soil have less air because there is a very small gap between the between the clay soil particles, so the clay soil have less air. Okay, next one is but they are heavy as they hold more water than the sandy soil. So this clay soil, it is heavy because it hold more water, whereas here the sand soil, it is very light because it cannot hold the water. Understood? Okay, now let's move to the another soil. Loamy soil. The best topsoil for growing plant is loam. Okay, so the best topsoil for growing the plants is a loamy soil. The loamy soil is the best soil for growing the plants. Why? Because a loamy soil is a mixture of sand, clay and another type of soil particle known as silt. Okay, so the loamy soil, it is a mixture of sand, it is a mixture of clay, okay, and it is a mixture of sand, clay, and the small other particles, that is known as a silt. Okay, so this loamy soil, it consists of sand, it consists of clay, even it consists of silt. Now what is this silt? Now, what is this silt? A silt, it is occur as a deposit in the river beds. So, it is the silt is occur in the river beds. River beds in the sense it is the ground, okay, which where it is a ground which a river flows over it. That is called the river beds. Okay, so this silt, this type of soil we find in a river beds. The size of the silt particle is between those of sand and clay. So the size of these particles, they are neither too big nor too small. It is between the sand and the clay. The next is the loamy soil also has humus in it. So this loamy soil, this is the loamy soil. Okay, so this loamy soil, it consists a humus in it, okay, which is needed for the plants to grow well, which makes the soil fertile. Next is it has the right water holding capacity for the growth of plant. So this soil, it is having a right water holding capacity, okay, for the growth of a plant, so it can hold the water very well. That's why the plants can grow very well into the loamy soil. Here you can see this is the silt, this is the silt, okay, and this is the loamy soil. Okay, so children, in this class we have learned what is soil, soil profile, the layers of soil, what is weathering, how the soil is formed, right? Then we have learned in details about the soil profiles, horizons, that is A horizon, B horizon, C horizon, and the bedrock. And we have studied the types of soils such as sandy soil, clay soil, and the loamy soil, right? Hope you understood all these concepts very well, children. Okay.